The following Best of Central Florida program is sponsored in part by these fine sponsors.
Welcome to the Best of Central Florida. Happy weekend to you. I am Justin Clark. I will be your host today, joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Michaela Nichols. I don't know what's so funny.
Are you just the host today?
Well, I mean,
he was like, I'll be your host today, not like you're the host every week
We'll
with
talk
me.
about it then. It says I'm the host and you're the co-host. I don't know what that means, but it means...
Really? You're the co-host here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Look, we can both be the hosts. This is not a problem for me.
No, well, anyway, this episode's not even about us.
I know. I'm so excited, actually. This is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of you have families out there. What do you do with your family that is also somewhat affordable? Like you talk about going to these big parks, I won't even use any names, it gets expensive.
Very expensive.
And when you start talking about your best family attraction, that's what we're going to do today.
Yes, and this one's really awesome. If you haven't noticed by any of the props on here, we won't give too much away, but to our surprise, it ranks as the #1 children's museum in Florida and #3 in the USA, and the top 2% of all museums in the country
in art. You're the #1 co-host in all of Central Florida,
Thank
too.
you.
You got it.
And it's specialty and hidden gem categories. We're going to take you on a trip through Land, but first we have to introduce someone. So what do you say?
Go ahead. I want you to. We obviously are going to go visit,
yes.
But the man blows me away. His knowledge.
The man behind the curtain is literally joining us in the studio today. Fred, you're the curator of the Wizard of Oz Museum. You truly are the man behind the curtain. We are so excited to go on this journey with you today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I hope we all take it together, the journey, and we'll see what the Wizard of Oz Museum have to offer to the general public.
Yes, it's so incredible. I mean, growing up, I have always loved the Wizard of Oz, and being able to go to a museum and experience just everything. There's so much more to the story than what meets the eye, and you, quite honestly, I mean, you blew me away with everything in your museum and just the history. There's so much. Everyone keeps asking her to put on the shoes and do that. I know.
That's how we get the cake Canaveral.
You don't have a size 10, 10 and a half, do you? Because that's what she wears.
Yeah, I know. It looks a little small for me. She was petite lady. Me, on the other hand, not so petite. But Fred, I can't wait to go on this journey with you. What do you say that we leave the studio and you take us back to Oz?
Of course, we will do that all together, and I hope the general public who is watching us will enjoy the trip with us. Take this journey to the museum and see by themselves.
Let's do just that. A very quick break. When we return, we are literally going to Oz.
The Best of Central Florida, Michaela's Choice, is sponsored in part by these fine sponsors.
When I think about family activities, I think about my 2 daughters, and I know that they would love it here, but my goodness, I'm so blown away by what I feel when I walk into this place. We're here at the Wizard of Oz Museum. Michaela, this place has blown me away.
Oh my gosh, from just walking in the yellow brick road and then being greeted by Fred and the amazing just all of it. I feel like I've literally been transported to another world.
I do too. Blown away, joined here by the man who made it all possible, really. Fred Trust is here. So we're here starting our tour, obviously, but the Wizard of Oz really began a long time ago with a guy named Frank Baum. Tell me about him.
Yes, so Frank Baum is the author of the book. He actually born in 1856, but became the writer really in his 40s. What's interesting about it, he tried so many different professions, but he unable.
Really?
Yeah, he was in the theater, he was in the newspaper, he tried to raise the chickens, everything else he tried, right? But eventually he started writing the book. And the success of the book called Wonderful Wizard of Oz that's the book first known copy, dated May 23rd, 1900.
This actual book. And I'm afraid to touch it.
It's older than you too.
I figured that was coming soon. You didn't waste any time.
Right. So this book is actually that made him really famous. So what's happened is, before he wrote this book, he was, at the time in the United States, there was a movement from silver to gold standards. And in the book, he used the silver color for the shoes for the Dorothy because of that movement. Yellow brick road supposed to represent the gold standard. And gold measured in ounces. And symbol for ounces is OZ.
Oh, so that's where Oz came from.
Right.
Whoa, okay.
See, I didn't know that. It's like trivia with Fred. My goodness.
Right. So Dorothy is supposed to represent the common people. Scarecrow is supposed to represent the farmer. Tin Man is supposed to represent industrial people. But presidential nominee William Jennings Bryan, that we have photographs right there at the bottom, he's supposed to represent the cowardly lion.
Really?
And there's way more to it because of that movement where the bankers wants to have the gold and United States people wants to produce in silver. They saying the bankers, the wicked witches of the East represent the Morgans and wicked witches of the West represent the Rockefellers. Okay, from that time. And if you look at the currency...
Did you know anything about this?
No,
I had no idea.
it's so fascinating because when people think of the Wizard of Oz, I don't think they know the history of it, which is so important to cover. And you literally have 1900. I mean, there's so much history, not just the movie.
Let me ask one thing quickly, too, because we're going to talk about Van Gogh in a minute as well, and I think Van Gogh really never sold any paintings while he was still alive. Did people know about Frank Baum before he had passed away, or no?
Well, he was very famous because he actually wrote 14 Oz books, and they continue to writing books. So theoretically, there's a 40 official Oz books, and people blown away to know that there's a more than one story. Yeah. Even the movies that we all know from 1939 is only partially based on this book. Really? And what we try to show in immersive experience, creating the scenes from the books that nobody knows about them, because most people never read the book. And that's what we created, the scenes. So we have a Tin Man proposing to the Munchkin girl. We have a mice pulling the lion out of the poppy field. We making the scene where the witch make the Jack Pumpkinhead alive, and etc. And we even created a scene for the party inside the Emerald City, and you hopefully will be able to see that later. But also, as far as the Frank Baum concerned, he was very fiction. He was predicting a lot of things. In 1901 books, for example, named Master Key, he described bulletproof vest, one of the things. He used the augmented reality, saying for the boy named Rob, if you put the glasses on, I will put the letter of the characters like G on his forehead of the people that mean good, or E is the evil, or something like that.
He was ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time. And one of the books that he wrote is called TikTok. Right? And TikTok of Oz.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, now he's on my level. Now he's with me.
And on a TikTok, in that book in 1914, it's actually the robot, TikTok, first mentioned in English literature in 1907 book, Ozmo was right there. TikTok, in that book, he predicted the wireless phone.
Really?
In 1914. So there's a lot of science involved with that. Of course, he predicted the computers and television and way more other things out there.
Incredible.
Okay, and that's what makes it more interesting to the visitors to learn all those pieces outside of the movie.
Well, I say we go and look at more because there's so much to uncover here.
I think so too. And let me ask another question though. So, were the books famous before the movie actually came out? So this book here, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, was this a famous book prior to the movie?
Yes, it was books in a book list, #1 bookseller for 2 years in a row, in 1900 and 1901. And theoretically, even if he stopped writing, he was really prolific, and he wrote over 100 different titles in the span of 20 years. When he was writing other serious books, okay, like Sky Island, Sea Fairies, children came back and they said, we want it back to the Oz books. So he continued to write. So that's why he wrote 14 Oz books.
Incredible.
So obviously a terrific writer, wrote one of the most famous books of all time, but then that also turned into a movie. And I've already taken a little pre-tour here.
Yes.
The things that you have in this museum right here from the movie have blown me away. Do you mind to show us?
Yeah, so theoretically, there is a 1910 movie called Wizard of Oz. There's a 1925 silent movie, Wizard of Oz.
Really?
Then there's a 1939 movie that we all know from
Does
MGM.
every tour come with Fred? Because
I need you. Exactly.
because we need to learn it all with Fred, I think.
right? So we have 1939 movie everybody knows. Then, of course, there's a Wiz musical came out at the time. And before that, there's a Broadway musical. Then we have a Return to Us from 1985, covering from the second and third books that he wrote. Wow. And then 2013, Disney come out Us Great and Powerful movie. And now Wicked is all over the place, right? And they're in the production of that movie. So you can see this is expansion of his work.
When we come back, we will take a tour of the Wizard of Oz Museum.
You were complaining about your electricity bill, and I don't blame you, but the reason why your electricity bill is so high may be something you didn't know. Your windows, joined by my good buddy and the man over at Renewal by Anderson, Dan Brigman. Dan, it's just a fact. Bad windows, old windows, are killing people's electricity bill. Why is that?
100%. There's several main reasons, Justin. One is the technology. If you got old windows, they don't have up-to-date Energy Star technology. Number two, if you've got old windows, there's a lot of places windows can leak. Most folks didn't know that when the AC turns on, a suction is created in the house. Well, guess what? You're sucking in hot, warm air through the broken seals of the windows. And on top of that, we've got sun hitting and, of course, radiant heat leaving the house.
Special deal for you, actually. If you take out your phone, hit the QR code on the screen right now. I will connect you directly with Dan, who will offer you
a 12-month no-no and also a 24-month no-no, but the biggest is our 20% off offer that we have not had in quite some time. I didn't think we were going to have it before the end of the year. So.
Dan Brigman, excellent job as always. Here's how it works. Look, if you do the program where you pay for the windows over time, you're going to save money on your electricity bill, where it's all going to balance out. Windows for free, essentially. Do yourself a favor. Visit Renewal by Anderson today.
The Best of Central Florida, People's Choice, is sponsored in part by these fine sponsors.
All right, show us around here. I can't wait to see.
Okay, so here's the TikTok book. Everybody knows about the TikTok. Here we have it, Theater Magazine, where we have it, Billy Burke, who played the Glinda in the movie.
Hold on, is TikTok really based on this or no? Is there a connection?
That's where they took the story, the name from.
Really?
TikTok.
I had no
right
idea.
There, TikTok of us. We have
Did you know that?
No.
Okay, we have a Glinda from 1916, 23 years before the movie. Oh. Then we have another pieces from this is the game from 1921 that people
So this is all pre-movie?
Pre-movie, 1939, right. 1925 silent movie, there's a scarecrow and monkey used from that movie. This is the only one in existence. Then we will go further down. We have a different like soap from 1939 in the form of characters. We have a string dispenser that it's used in the form of characters right there. On this side we have robot and different pieces, but on that side we have nutcrackers. We have a different collection of Hamilton dolls. We have 4 cabinets of puppets that used in 1950s performances in Chicago area. They're quite valuable. Smithsonian wants to obtain them from me, and I decided to keep them for this museum.
So Fred, we go from a book to obviously now a movie. This is the original script for Wizard of Oz.
Right. So in this cabinet in 1939, we have original script. We have a contract signed by a member of the cast. We have original dolls from 1939. We have a soap. We have a Margaret Hamilton photograph. We have a Frank Morgan. We have a card signed by all the members of the cast. And of course, we have some props that used actually in the movie.
Let's go check them out.
Okay.
I want to see the clothes, personally. That's what I want to see. So I think this might be my favorite part of the tour thus far. Fred, we're standing next to an authentic Dorothy dress. This is just like mind-blowing. There's like, what, 7?
7 dresses exist, and one of the characteristics of the dress to be original, it should have a hidden pocket that everybody can see inside. She holds the cigarettes inside that pocket. She smoked around 80 cigarettes a day.
You mean Dorothy smoked?
Yes, she was smoking to be in
Skinny,
shape.
so she could fit into her dress?
Yes,
Oh,
I actually got the mannequin, the size, but barely be able to put that dress on it because it's so skinny.
And it's not just the dress, it's other things that you have as well.
All right, so when they moved to the Emerald City, that's one of the residents of the Emerald City wore that particular jacket. We also have another jacket, a coat actually, worn by the Judy Garland that we obtained with her initial inside, with the cigarette burn inside the coat.
Wow.
Oh
Another piece we have is the spear that actually used inside the witch's castle. And another piece that we have related to the movie is the ruby slippers that have been used in a great movie ride by Disney.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like the slippers are like kind of the main attraction. I know three
I don't
clicks
know.
and
I think the jacket, to me, the jackets are pretty amazing.
I mean,
too.
it's all just so impressive that it's literally here. People can come and hang out with you, Fred, learn so much, and they can see the items that were in the actual movie.
It's just really hard to imagine that, you know, in 1938 or 1939, these dresses and jackets were literally on this film set of this masterpiece.
And of course, they made it multiple because the production of the movie was so expensive. And if something happened to one pair of shoes, for example, they want to make sure they have a second one,
Yeah, that
saving
makes
with
sense.
the dresses and everything else.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Well, I say we got to keep going. There's so much to see.
So much to see.
So we have it on this cabinet. We have it from the Shakespeare performances in England from 1987, original sketches. We have very hard to find dolls. We have a Lenox pieces, and on these cabinets we have plates that people collected, different dolls, Barbies on this side, and whole cabinet dedicated to the Wicked, Trolls, Living Dead dolls with the phosphorus faces limited edition. We have a whole cabinet dedicated to the ornaments related to the Wizard of Oz. Whole cabinet dedicated to the Munchkins that signed all of those shirts when they were alive. Wow. And we have a cabinet dedicated to the Tin Man, to Buddy Epson and Jack Haley. So we have, in these cabinets, we have different miniature dolls. We have other dolls. We have original sketches that people can actually see the original artwork and how it was printed in a book.
So impressive.
We have more figurines on this side. We have comic books on this side. We have different variation of the original book. On this cabinet, we might have that stories that have been translated to over 60 different languages, and we can see some of them right here. We have a doll's limited edition of 250 right there at the bottom. We have more figurines on this side, and we can go further. Okay, so we have it returned to us right here in this cabinet, including the photograph signed by Paul McCartney. We have Disney movie covering the Oz Great and Powerful. In this cabinet, we have how the certain characters would look like if they were Wizard of Oz. We have a Snow Babies as the Wizard of Oz, what type of shoes they would wear if they were Wizard of Oz. We have fairies as the Wizard of Oz. We have cats as the Wizard of Oz. We have bears as the Wizard of Oz. We have cows dressed up as the Wizard of Oz. On that side, we have more figurines, snow globes, scenes from the movies. That is Jack in the Boxes, limited edition pieces, horse of different colors. Moving forward, we have another pieces, including the chess sets on the bottom. We have banks, a different wording from the movie. And on this side, we have it. Somebody, a lot of female appreciate is the teapots sections and the salt and shaker pit section.
You have it all, that's for sure.
We're starting from the in Dorothy Mansion, going through the tornado. And the next scene after that, it's actually is going to be inside the Munchkin land. We created the scene here where the Tin Man proposing to the Munchkin girl, because in the original book, this is how he lost his heart and become a Tin Man. In the next scene, we're going to have it, mice pulling the line out of the poppy field. It's an unusual scene, not many people are aware of that, but in the book, that is what has happened, and people can read this inside the book themselves. Now we are approaching the witch's castle. Inside the witch's castle, people can see actually a lion, the guard, and after that, we're going to be going through the dark forest that are going to be eventually skipping on a yellow brick road surrounded by poppy fields, over 3 million poppies, and ending at the Emerald City Party where people can see all the characters dancing around them.
Fred, what an amazing tour. I mean, we've covered so much in such a short amount of time. I could spend all day here, and I know so many other people have themselves. You've won so many different accolades and different museum titles, and you're really crushing it out here. Why do you think you've had this success?
Well, thank you for compliments. We are family museum, but there is no category for family museum, so we actually rank in different things like art or the specialty or the children's museum. And I would suggest visitors visit our website, wizardofozflorida.com, and on the front page we have all those links to confirm that museum standard at this point.
Or heck, just get down here and see it
Yeah,
for
or just
yourself.
check it out yourself. Yeah, because this is amazing, and there's so much to do and see. You can come back multiple times and still find something new.
You killed it. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us, Fred.
The best of Central Florida, Justin's Choice, is sponsored in part by these fine sponsors.
Now that was a heck of a lot of fun. I learned so much that I just had no idea about. I really didn't. I feel like an idiot, but I do. I should have known some of these things.
No, but I think that's one of the most incredible things about going to the museum is you learn and then you can appreciate it even more.
But it's so great of a place for not just kids, but adults too. That's what I love about it. It's so family friendly and affordable, and really your children can learn so much there too.
Absolutely.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
And thanks for having my mom come too, because
Yeah.
she enjoyed it. I mean, it's fun for the whole family,
is.
and having you there and the knowledge that you possess about literally everything Oz related, it really adds to the experience.
Well, thank you for coming in, and I hope everybody will take the opportunity to visit the museum and experience them themselves in person, and hopefully they enjoy as much as you did.
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much about Oz and Dorothy and the whole crew, honestly, and the immersive experience absolutely blew my mind. It was truly one of a kind.
You're onto something very, very special, my friend. That's amazing work.
Okay.
Really a lifetime worth of work, it
oh
feels
my
like
gosh.
to me.
And the collection you have, just mind-blowing.
Wonderful job to you as always
Thanks.
as well. To our amazing crew, you did amazing as well. Because there was
Amazing. Everything is amazing
Everything
today.
is amazing,
It's all amazing.
today. Thank you to our amazing crew. Most importantly, thank you. See you again next week for more Best of Central Florida.
The preceding Best of Central Florida program was sponsored in part by these fine sponsors.